You know, I fished all over the country, and I fish a lot of different things, but one thing that I pride myself in knowing is topwater fishing in and of itself. I probably made more money in the last 5 years on a topwater bait than any other bait out there. And not all topwater baits are created equal. There's a lot of poppers out there, there's a lot of walking baits out there. All of those are good in certain situations. This bait right here is a Storm Cover Pop. And what it does is better than any other bait out there in the market, in my opinion, is it walks in place better than in all of them. And what it does is it triggers those bites. It has a lot of drawing power, has a lot of commotion, but it's not moving a lot forward. This bait actually, because of the way this bait is shaped, and this big giant face in the front, it's gonna want to walk. It's wanting to displace a lot of water without moving a lot forward. And that's gonna trigger a lot more bites. Also, you'll notice on the very back here, it's tail weighted, and this is gonna allow it to even more so stay in place better. And the one thing that I really like on a little bit bigger popping bait is having bigger hooks. Look, I mean, I've seen several different times where I'd cast that bait up there, or a smaller popping bait up there, and I get a big bite and I lose that fish because I have number 6 hooks. This bait right here has 2 number 2 trebles on it, has a feather, which is an absolute must, a little VMC treble right there, and it just goes to work. Okay, now one thing that you're gonna wanna do, especially when you're fishing this bait around cover, there's 2 different ways to fish this thing, in my opinion, or cast this thing, in my opinion. Number one, if I'm really close, in real close combat, I'm gonna choose my targets, choose my little lanes. I'm actually, because this bait has a lot of weight to it, I can actually pitch it with the bait caster, you know, 7-foot medium heavy action, and make my little pitches right there in those little places. And it's a real soft little entry, and I'm gonna slow twitch that thing, and it's just gonna go back and forth and back and forth. And if there is a bass in that hole, or on that bush, or on that little tip of that point, they're more than likely gonna come and get it, especially if they're in shallow water. You know, it's all about distance where they have to travel to eat that bait. And for me, if those fish are in 2 foot or less, this is the bait that I'm gonna be throwing. Now, one other thing that I'm gonna do, okay, you're pitching, you know, a lot of pitching like you would a jig. Now, the other thing I'm gonna do when I'm getting a little bit further away, I'm gonna make those little roll casts. I'm just gonna make a little swoop of my rod, and having a fast action rod, making that little roll cast is really important with making this bait and making accurate casts. So what I'm doing right here is I'm gonna make this little roll cast. I'm gonna lay it in there very nicely. That's one thing that you wanna do. When you have a little weight at the bait, you can make those right little casts, and you'll see where that bait is facing, that tail is tail down, and that bait just continues to just walk side to side, side to side, side to side, side to side, and stops. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's an absolute fish catcher right there. Is when I make a cast out there, I can look at you and just start working this thing, and I know for a fact it's walking back there. I guarantee it's walking. I'm not even looking at it, and it just walks itself. And that's what's so awesome about it, is like, I'm not sitting here, I'm just twitching the thing, and it walks itself. And that's what's gonna be so awesome for someone that's just starting to try to start to walk a bait. You throw it out there, it catches a lot of fish. And one thing also about it, when you want a different action, or you want a different sound, and you wanna twitch it harder to where it actually has that blooping sound, it's gonna continue to walk. If you want to pause it, it's going to continue to turn hard left and right. And there is no other action out there on the market for a topwater bait. I don't care if it's a walking bait, a popping bait, a frog. Walking the dog action in any topwater bait seems to be by far the best action and triggering mechanism, triggering action out there for a topwater bait. And this bait does it better than anything else out there on the market. Here we go. Oh yeah, right back up in that little hole, exactly what we just talked about right there. Choke that cover pop. And you know, that's what we were just exactly what we were talking about, that little hole right there. This bait is so good at actually just fishing at exact little places. It doesn't have to be an exact piece of cover, it could be a small little hole in the grass like that. I got that front hook, and those big hooks got him, those big VMC hooks got him. That's awesome.